Interceptions to lead the Bears last year. It's his first of the season, and the second for the Bears in this quarter. The first led to a field. Here comes Neal Anderson, and he's all the way to the Seattle 48-yard line with a 13-yard run.
Well, as I mentioned, the last series, the Bear offensive line doesn't have quite the strength they once had. They've got all the moxie and know-how, but they're dominating the line of scrimmage. They're taking it over, and you can see that huge gaping hole straight up the field. I'm sure we're going to see some substitution by Seattle. I like his running, Dick. He made people miss. That 10 pounds difference. Not BD difference.
Neal Anderson outside. Anderson. Is he in? Yes, touchdown.
There's a replay. We're going to get it now. Hunter made a serious mistake. He underestimated Anderson's speed. He started inside to make a stop. All of a sudden had to get in a foot race with Anderson, and Patrick Hunter, with all his speed, could not stay with that man. Anderson, one of the great backs in football. Just pure speed around that corner.
Touchdown, Bill.
Well, there's a great block from the outside in on Robinson. And that block by Davis did it. Now you see Mustard get his job done here. You see Bortz pulling, but you see the speed coming around that corner, and Hunter really just underestimated the speed of Anderson. Because there are so many qualities in both cases, positive and negative.
Boy, Anderson just did get the handoff from Harbaugh, who was stumbling as he pulled back from center, and Como makes the tackle after a first down.
Well, at this point, the interior offensive line of Thayer and Bortz, and of course Hilgenberg in the middle, are taking Bryant, Nash, and Como apart. And that's what you see, people getting knocked all over the field and pushed around. You see Bryant well off the ball, and they're just not meeting the blocker. And this is why Nash and Bryant are being replaced, and probably before we get through midseason this year, there's really been putting out the great athletes in the last decade. They supply the universities in that entire part of the country.
In fact, you see Neal Anderson, John L. Williams. Anderson was so good as a freshman that Williams was also good. They moved him to fullback as a sophomore, and they played 3 years in the same backfield. That they basically are going to go to a controlled passing game. They don't have the deep speed anyway for their wide receivers. Neal Anderson. A clever gain by Anderson of 6 or 7 to add to his total.
Well, as of now, Thayer and Van Horn, as an example there, just took their man, took him down the line of scrimmage, then Anderson broke behind it. This is sort of a fully dimensional offense the Bears have. I appreciate it because they can.
Anderson, we were talking with Neal a couple of days ago, and he's an interesting guy. Every year he's doing something different, from archery to classical music. Remember, he told us he thought Beethoven was only for old guys, but he said actually he enjoys it. Now he's got a Rottweiler he's training this year, and bowling. He says he's flirting with a 200 average in bowling. He's could be a left-handed star of the future.
Well, he says there's some money in it too. Maybe later on you can be one of those with the where they wear the silk shirts and names on the back or whatever.
They never let me on the alleys. Kegler was not for me. They let me set the pins, so they put me back in the box. He wants to average over 4.5 a carry. He's over 5 today.
There's a motion to the outside, stretching that ease the anxiety by saying, I don't want to do this next year. But they love the game, and they'll be back.
Harbaugh going long, a rare time long. He is inbounds. They say it's good. Neal Anderson. And that was right in front of Chuck Knox, and he can't believe it that Anderson stayed in bounds.
Again, Anderson out on a safety. This time Glasgow's in the ball game, and it's a foot race, and he underestimates Anderson. Of course, the ball is underthrown, and Anderson's great ability. Oh, very close.
It looked as if he dragged. There's one. And
oh, gee, it looks like he got it. Very good. Beautiful job.
Neal Anderson who knows how to hang on to that football.
The play.
Big hands Anderson, they call him. He's got the hands. He's got everything, of course.
Now there's a case of the ball underthrown, but the receiver able to react to it, and a big gain pass. Harbaugh to Anderson gets the Bears all the way to midfield.
What a fully dimensional.
To hang on to that football.
The play.
Big hands Anderson, they call him. He's got the hands. He's got everything, of course.
Now there's a case of the ball underthrown, but the receiver able to react to it, and a big gain pass. Harbaugh to Anderson gets the Bears all the way to midfield.
What a fully dimensional guy this one is. Catching the ball deep, blocking, running. What a great player.
Chicago will exercise a timeout. And this might be a time where Mike Ditka and Greg Landry and Johnny Rowland, the offensive brain trust, are going to say, okay, got 11.5 minutes to go. We've got a 10-point lead. Let's hold the ball, work it down, and with it they've eaten up some clock as well. Anderson. A nice piece of running.
You know, Ken Behring was at a great spot to watch the game this week. Down low without any. Seattle just has to now blitz. Has to make something happen.
Neal Anderson. He's making it happen all the way to the 5-yard line. $14 more, make it 15 more for Anderson to give him 85 for the day.
We get a great block here. A great block here inside, and then to the outside with all the room you want. But inside, the beautiful block was Van Horn, who was all the way down the field, and he, in a sense, is blocking Como, the middle linebacker.
And Wendell Davis, you zeroed him earlier on a good block. That wide receiver threw another nice block. First and goal, Chicago. Earlier on a good block. That wide receiver threw another nice block. First and goal, Chicago. It's Anderson, touchdown! Who rushed for 11 touchdowns last year, has a couple in the opener today.
Did a beautiful job of blocking on that last play. Again, it's the techniques that Stanfield teaches. Right here, the ball goes through, and linebackers are jumping on that fake over there. So you see the linebackers run past the ball, and then Covert do a beautiful job just turning his man out and opening a big running lane.
Here it is from another angle.
Just nothing there. Beautiful techniques. And again, linebackers jumping on the first man. In this case, they're jumping on Brad Muster, and Anderson breaks right in behind.
Yeah, you're talking about Neal Anderson and what a fine conditioned athlete he is. And it goes back to his first Pro Bowl when he met Roger Craig and realized that as hard as he worked, he could work harder to be a better conditioned.
Yep. Okay, this is a good solid game for the Bears because
going for more. Harbaugh, good day, 21 for 29. Now Tomczak in at quarterback, up the middle. Anderson back in there as Ditka's going to try to get him his 100 yards. He draws ever closer, and those 3 might do it, depending on officially what they give him. 3 yards, 100 for Anderson today. Give him another. Give him a bonus. Baker's dozen. 101 for Anderson.
In addition, 5 receptions for 42 yards.
25 seconds to go.
And this is 2nd and 9. They're not showing the blitz now. Here they come. Here comes Noble. And there's the blitz. And Scott Stevens gives way to Neal Anderson, who fires right by him. So they blitz on the run, and Anderson makes them pay the price.
The thought behind blitzing on 2nd and long is to get a sack, number 1, if they are.
2 tight ends line up tight to the right. This is Bozo, wide right. Toss to Anderson. Touchdown, Chicago. Tom Thayer with the big block.
This is a great combination when you get blocking like Thayer provided this time, and then the talent and the moves of Neal Anderson as he makes two beautiful moves and then has enough speed to get into the end zone. Bears capitalizing on the turnover, getting 6.
Tom Thayer was down. Anderson. Flag is down, and Anderson gets by Mark Murphy and is knocked out of bounds. First down at the 29. 17-10. Handoff. Neal Anderson. Chased by Johnny Holiday. Biggest play offensively for the Bears today. A gain of 30 yards.
All right, this is the left guard, Mark Bortz. Watch him pull and make an outstanding block here for Neal Anderson. Right on Murphy, right in the hole, and now Anderson is into the secondary, and he's close to going all the way. The angle by Johnny Holland is all that saves the Packers that time.
62 yards on 17 carries for Neal Anderson. First down, Chicago. Today. Play fake. Over Scott Steven. Touchdown. Neal Anderson from Jim Harbaugh. A gain of 16 and the TD.
Well, you just can't say enough about the job Harbaugh's doing today. This ball is perfectly thrown right over the linebacker's head, right in the hole in the secondary. Again, Murphy's late coming over on the coverage, and Harbaugh's got another touchdown pass. That's just a beautiful throw, though. He knows that the linebacker won't be able to make the play because he's got his back turned to the quarterback.
Anderson squirts through and dives for a pickup of about 3 over the 45-yard line of the Bears. You can see the flak jacket under Anderson's jersey there. Clearly the Bears didn't want to let anybody know that Anderson was hurting, but you had a chance to talk to him before the game.
Yeah, I asked him how his ribs were, Tim, and he told me that it's not a bruise. What it is a cartilage problem. He says it's more severe than a bruise, and I'm going to go as long as I can, and if I can't do it, I'll just pull myself out, but it's my call. I'm going to go as long as I can. Right now, he said, I feel pretty good, but I'm sore. We'll see what happens.
2 touchdowns last week against the Packers. Had a big day. They've been carrying the mail. Anderson forced wide. Touchdown.
In this play, the backside linebacker, when Flo goes away, will chase. Now watch what happens. Anderson starts to his right and then breaks back after Barry runs into
Badly.
Got bad ribs and a bad back, and he just keeps rolling on. You don't want to catch him on a good day when he's healthy, right?
That's for sure.
He's a terrific athlete. But he told me he was determined to be in the lineup. He felt his club needed him, and he would go as far as he possibly could.
First down, Chicago.
Line the game ball.
In the I formation, Muster is the lead back. Anderson. First down to the 22-yard line. A nifty bit of running by Neal Anderson.
Tim, this is the case where everybody is singled up one-on-one. Each offensive lineman is responsible for the defender over his head. Now, Neal Anderson, after he takes his toss, knows the middle linebacker is going to be the first person who will confront him. And he simply beats the middle linebacker one-on-one. Scott Studwell couldn't come up with the play.
So Anderson, playing hurt all day long, has been a big force along with Brad Muster. The rushing attack of the Bears has been very impressive indeed.
But you kind of redeem things that have happened in the past.
Carries out Muster and Anderson. Anderson, touchdown. Good block up front by Tom Thayer. Muster got a good lead block also. 18 seconds left to play in the first quarter. Kevin Butler. Anderson comes in motion. Tomczak pump fake. Got Anderson. Mark Murphy wrestled Anderson down after a pickup of 29 yards.
Look at the smile on Tomczak's face, I think.
Anderson. Neal Anderson lost the ball. And the Packers get it back. Scott Stevens has it. Back to the 35. Anderson after a big run.
That is unbelievable. I think they ran away from Tim Harris. He goes to the other side. Watch this. He is just using the ball to help him run, to keep his balance. It's in his left hand. It's in his butt. It just drops out of his hand. It didn't hit against anything. Obviously, no one hit him. And then it bounces right up into Scott Stevens' hand. And he knows he's a linebacker. He doesn't want to carry that thing too long. I bet you Neal Anderson is still upset with himself. And as you said, he does have a bad knee and he has bad ribs and he has special pads on there. And, you know, and the thing with the special pad is you don't want to get the ball up against your body because you can't feel it. So maybe in just holding it out there, maybe that's why he fumbled it.
Maybe. And off Anderson. Same play. Not quite the same result. Holland made the stop.
Yeah, I think that is the problem that he's having now is you can see those rib pads. You see them sticking out there right below the 3 and the 5. And that's where you have to put the ball. When you hold it against your body, you see he has both hands with the ball, but you can't feel that ball against your body. And then when it hits, now you have the ground hitting the ball against those pads right there.
9-yard gain, 2nd and 1. Anderson in motion. That's Anderson. To about the 27, stopped by Noble again.
You know, if you have a Neal Anderson there, of course, he's not healthy today, and he's still going to gain 100 yards. I mean, I think when you talk about the running backs in the National Football League, I think Neal Anderson is right up there at the top. But when you have a guy like Neal Anderson, you don't need another one like him.
Meaning a guy like Muster. Just be out of place. Nobody would be happy then.
Yeah, right. Then you got to, have one on the bench and the other one. You need one to do the other thing.
2nd and 7. 1st and 10 Bears. 17-yard line of Green Bay. Anderson to about the 12, stopped by Brian Noble.
I think Neal Anderson is hurt there, but again, we've talked all day that he's been hurt all day. He has bad ribs. He has a bad knee.
Well, we were talking with Johnny Rowland yesterday. He was a fine running back himself, and now a Bear assistant. He said, he said to you, you're never healthy after the first week.
I think that Neal Anderson has been a real warrior today. That probably if it were anything else or any other type of game, he wouldn't play. But I think the problem he's having is when he's falling, he has to keep the ball in there, and he's falling on the ball.
I think you're exactly right.
And then when you have bad ribs, I think that's just putting all that pressure as it comes down right on the ribs.
There's his backup. Ricky Bailey.
Neal Anderson has done what he's had to do for the Bears today. He said earlier when he comes out of that tunnel and he knows the Packers are on that other end, he'll be ready. And he sure played awfully hard and awfully tough today.
So Bailey.
The Raiders ran on him. They didn't tackle. And now they're back to
hanging on to the ball, stopped by Noble and Nelson.
You know, you just cringe every time Neal Anderson goes down. You can just darn near feel that body creaking and cracking and aching.
I'm sure the question is going to be asked after this game and during the week. Timeout Green Bay. Why is he playing Neal Anderson?
Well,
bad knee and bad rib.
I think because he's a football player and it's a big game. It's a rivalry. It's, you know, that it brings out those type of competitors. And it's the second time they played Green Bay. They already got him once. They don't play him again. The biggest games you play are the division games.
Right. I think that's a big factor.
And then I think everyone has so much confidence in him. And I think when he's in there, everyone knows what it is. There's two guys that have done a heck of a job this second half, Trace Armstrong and Richard Dent, putting the pressure on Mikowski.
The Buccaneers, and then after that, the Giants, Redskins, or Dallas and Phoenix. Anderson. Wrestled down inside the 5 by Jerry Holmes.
That's why Neal Anderson's playing. If you're a player, you don't know how to do anything else.
53 yards by Neal Anderson.
It's just the old I formation. They got a soft corner, a late lead, and a sprint by Neal Anderson. I'll tell you, you know, at the end of the year, we have the All-Madden team. I just picked one guy right there. Heck with it. Throw him in.
First and goal at the 3. 3:09 left to play.
Look at that. He practiced on Wednesday and Thursday. Didn't practice at all on Friday. We were out there yesterday, and he didn't do anything. And, you know, said that he really felt sore. Didn't feel any better this week than he did last week, and then has this kind of day.
Well, when I talked to him last night, he said, I'm not 100%, but all I really have to do is walk out on Soldier Field through that tunnel and see Tim Harris, and I'll be 150%.
I'll tell you, and he has played like he's 150%, but you remember that one fumble that he had on a 50-yard gainer. You wonder how he's going to feel tomorrow. The competitors don't worry about tomorrow.
That's so true. They really don't.
No, the Bears want to run the ball, and they're still going to run the ball, right?
That's easy enough for me. You're right, but the Bears' game plan is very, very simple. They're going to run the ball until you stop the run, and they play aggressive defense and try to win it in the fourth quarter. Now, if you're going to run the football, you're happy to give it to a guy like Neal Anderson, who leads the NFC in rushing. And I think he's having a remarkable year because everybody knows he's going to run the ball, yet he's had a very successful season. And what also I think makes him different is he can gain you 2 yards, and then he can go 50 yards as he does here. They'll use him as a pass receiver inside the 20-yard line, and he's an effective blocker. So if you're going to run the football and rely on it, you rely on a guy like Neal Anderson.
Bears quarterback start up front as you see Neal Anderson head onto the field with his teammate.
Well, you know, if you're going to win running the football, as the Chicago Bears have done this year, I think your toughest player on your team, your most physical player, has to be the running back. Neal Anderson is playing with a broken rib tonight, and he is a tough guy. And I think all the players on the Bear offense feed off of Neal Anderson's toughness.
Harbaugh brings him out. Morris wide right, Muster and Neal Anderson, the running back. Morris in motion. Neal Anderson gets a carry and gets yardage across the 45 to the 47-yard line. Newsom was there on the stop.
I really believe that you can make a compelling argument that Neal Anderson, as he's trying to get the dirt off his helmet there, but the best running back in the NFL tonight. You can have fans of Christian Okoye and Roger Craig and Barry Sanders, but when you're looking for a guy who can get you 2 yards when you need 1, but also on the next play can go 50, who can catch the ball inside the 20, I think you can make an argument that he's the best in the NFL right now.
Second down, 6 yards to go for the Bears, who've had the ball since the game began. We have 11:43 remaining in the quarter. Ron Morris wide right. The tight end, Thornton left under his own power. Anderson in motion right. He'll throw again. Quick look for Anderson. He's got it, and he's got a chance. Vince Newsom saved the touchdown.
We talked about Neal Anderson doing it in the backfield, and he does it here as a wide receiver. And Jerry Gray, it looked like he couldn't make up his mind whether he thought he could get the interception or not. Number 25, the corner, thinks he's going to pick it off. And then at the last moment, I think he knows he's not going to get there and tries to slow down. And that allows Neal Anderson to go right by him. But again, you can line up Neal Anderson in a lot of different places and get production out of him.
32-yard. You made a great point about Anderson. He's really earned his way into becoming a star player, hasn't he?
Yeah, you know, he really is. He was drafted number 1 out of Florida, and he came in highly touted, obviously, as the number 1 draft pick, but he wasn't playing much. And he went to Mike Ditka and said, hey, let me play somehow. And they said, okay, we'll put you on special teams. And he thought he was going to be returning kicks. Well, he ended up covering kicks, made All-Pro. Then he moved to fullback and blocked for Walter Payton. Now he's a 1,000-yard rusher. So a lot of guys come in and don't earn it, but Neal Anderson has.
Gentry wide right. Pressure incomplete.
Then bring all the linebackers in.
Anderson splits wide left. Gentry is in the backfield. Harbaugh looks. He's got forever. Now he throws into the corner of the end zone. Anderson, touchdown.
But Skip, I think you really have to like the play calling here by the Bears and the way Jimmy Harbaugh, as you said, is playing. Because when the Rams have come in with all linebackers on nickel situations, they've run it. That time with the defensive lineman, no rush. He had way too much time, and Neal Anderson ran all the way from the left side to the right to come open for the TD.
No State made the stop, a 10-yard pickup and a first down.
You know, I think what Bear fans love is to watch their featured back, Neal Anderson, actually come out and block Kevin Green as he comes in. Now watch Anderson. You've seen him catch the ball. You've seen Anderson run the football, and now he's not afraid to block. And again, we talk about if you run the football, your running back has to be the most physical guy on your team. I think Neal Anderson is that, and I think everybody feeds off of that physical play of Neal Anderson.
That's why Bear fans tell you this is the best back in the National Football League.
I think it's in the getting field goal range.
It's 3rd and 18. Harbaugh stays in there. Anderson. First down. Wilcher on the stop. 21 yards. The Rams simply cannot stop them. And we have reached the 2-minute warning. 2 minutes left in the half. The Bears have dominated the game. The big crowd here is loving it. We'll be back. 3rd and 18, Pat, and they still can't stop.
Well, you're right. I mean, Harbaugh has enough time here really to read a Chinese menu at a restaurant here. He's looking downfield, nobody there, and then just dumps the ball off. Now, that shouldn't happen on 3rd and 18. Somebody's got to react and come up and make a play. Yeah, you take the deep threat away, but when you dump the ball off to a back, somebody should make a play there.
Now Morris in motion right. And they run, and it's Anderson, and he's got a ton of yardage. 48-yard line before Vince Newsom knocks him down, the 8-year veteran out of Washington, and nothing has changed in the second half. 14-yard pickup, 36 yards on 8 carries for Anderson.
Watch the left side of the offensive line, the left tackle, left guard, as they pull and lead the way here for Neal Anderson. You get Bort, you get Colbert out in front of them. Cap Bozo, number 86, is making a block. You see 3 or 4 offensive linemen out there leading Neal Anderson. I mean, these offensive linemen are running at.
Anderson again. Wilcher the stop, but a 5-yard advance at 2nd and 5, and the clock continues to tick. 12 minutes left, third quarter.
And the physicalness of the position, I think, which makes Neal Anderson kind of unique. He can go the distance. He can play in open space in the wide, as a receiver on the wide sides. He can run from tackle to tackle. We've seen him block tonight. And you watch the film on Monday, and the linemen and defense watch the film together, and you see a Neal Anderson, only 210 pounds. You say, hey, we like to play with this guy.
468.
Second man through, Anderson. He's going to get there. Touchdown. He's 14 out of 63, a 15-yard romp. Nobody touched him.
This offensive line, you can say what you will about Neal Anderson. He's having a great night, but that was a gaping hole in the defense. And the left side of the offensive line, Jim Colbert, Mark Bortz, who played so well tonight, just opened that hole, and it was just an easy touchdown run for Neal Anderson.
Rouse made a great.
Thornton moves over to the right. Morris split out wide to the right. Anderson inside the Denver 40, stopped by Robbins.
Neal Anderson loves that I formation. That's his favorite formation to run from. Now, he starts here. See him in the iPad? He keys the nose tackle. Now, as the ball is going to be handled, see the nose tackle go to the left? Now, he is going to make, see right there, the nose tackle's on the left. Then Neal Anderson is going to run to the right or away from the direction the nose tackle goes.
9-yard pickup, a gain of 9 yards, so it'll be 2nd and 1.
Yeah, he's a guy from, he's out there from California, from Pleasanton, where I live. He's always been a tough guy, overachiever.
Anderson, secondary, almost broken. Stopped by Randy Robbins. A pickup of 7, a little bit shy of a first down.
Now watch this. We were talking about, here's what Anderson keys. Here's Neal Anderson. If the nose tackle goes this way, Anderson goes boom, and he goes the other way. He says the first thing he looks at is that nose tackle. Now watch it. See, he starts here. They got the nose tackle going this way. Boom. He's just going to take it this way. Now the nose tackle goes that way. He brings it right back against the nose tackle.
He does well. He does as well as anybody at that. 3rd and 1, 3-0. Handoff to Anderson with some room. Down to about the 25. Stopped by Scott Curtis.
You know, when you take everything that a running back has to do, you know, when he has to run and he has to block and he has to catch, I think this guy is the best in the league today. Just look what he's looking at. We talked about on this play, he is going to watch the nose tackle. He gets the ball. You see those eyes? He's looking right at the nose tackle. Then he is going to run away from that. See that? You see that move? And then the next thing he picks up is the secondary.
Anderson again. To about the 15. A gain of 11. Stopped by Dennis Smith.
Yeah, if you watch this, you'll see right here. This is what he sees. See, he sees flow coming this way. Now look what he sees back this way. So he makes that cut. That's why a good runner always has his head up, and he not only sees, but feels everything.
A lot of it you see, and a lot of it is instinct.
Instinct. And then if you flow, he'll cut against flow. Neal Anderson was saying the other day that his hamstring was bothering him so much on Wednesday, he thought there was no way he'd be able to play. And he said on Thursday he felt a little better, and on Friday he felt good, and he said last night, he said, I'll be ready to go the whole game.
Said I have a strain. Not a pull, a strain.
He said Ditka says
what is that?
He said, what is that anyway?
He split wide to the right this time. They throw it in his direction. Touchdown. Well, as you said, he could do it all. And he just did most of it.
I think they're changing. I think they're saying he's out of bounds now, Pat. One official called a touchdown, and the other guy came up there and said he's out of bounds.
I think maybe they said he went out of bounds and came back in.
Watch this. Harbaugh throws it like it's the last shot out of a Roman candle. And then at the other end, he has to jump ball. And you're right. He was out of bounds. Now he can't come back in and catch it. You're right. There, his foot is out of bounds. Now he comes back in, and he catches the ball inbound. So the official down there says touchdown, but the other official saw where he had stepped out of bounds. So that's the right call. But it's still a heck of a play by Neal Anderson, being able to come out, come up, jump up, turn around, spin around, get both feet in, that whole deal. That's it. I mean, that's like a ballet dancer doing a pirouette.
And you can see the signal for touchdown from the official, but he was clearly out of bounds, as you said. They'll bring it back. Anderson outside, got blockers in front, and got close to a Bear first down. I think he has it. Atwater made the stop.
There are two tough guys. When you get Neal Anderson running and Steve Atwater, he's looking for him all the way. And that was what Neal Anderson told us last night. We're talking about the Bronco defense. And he said, I'll tell you one thing about them. They got two good safeties. Talking about Dennis Smith and Steve Atwater.
Harbaugh out of the spread. To Anderson. Anderson inside the 30 to about the 29. Tripped up finally by David Galloway, and a fine play by Harbaugh.
And a fine play by Neal Anderson, and a fine call. That play put him in.
Good evening, everybody. The Pro Bowl team will be announced this coming week, and we will get a chance to see a couple of running backs tonight who will most certainly be on the NFC squad, Barry Sanders and Neal Anderson. Joe Theismann joins me now. And Joe, Neal Anderson following the footsteps of Walter Payton. And very often, if you follow in the footsteps of a legend, you fail. Hasn't been the case.
It really hasn't, Mike. Walter Payton had set a pace in Chicago that very few would even try to follow, more or less be able to. Neal Anderson is within 90 yards of approaching 3 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons. Walter Payton is the only other back to do it. The nice thing about Neal Anderson is he's finally getting the credit and the accolades that he deserves. He's not a guy that belongs in anybody's footsteps.
Barry Sanders, the Lions defense is going to have to do the same thing, trying to stop the Bears' big threat, Neal Anderson.
He's a great back. He's got great burst. I probably played against one of the best running backs that I've seen in the history of the game last week, and Bo Jackson. Just simply, there's nobody with speed like him. Neal has great speed, but Neal has what I like to call it is just his burst. He hits the hole, he sees it, and he goes. He runs hard and great quicks.
Coming up, man, and Keith Ferguson, the defensive end, came over to combine on the stop. Anderson had a chance to go in the free agent market this year, signed with another ball club. We told you about this in the preseason. I was most impressed with it. Signed a new contract with the Bears, $7 million, 4 years. Said he had better offers, but did not want to be the highest paid player on a team that he had never done anything for. He thought that would cause resentment from the other guys on the team. That attitude is not abundant in professional sports.
You're right.
Set moved from strong safety to free safety this year, changing places with William White. Delay to Anderson. Ran through Spielman's tackle. Jamison got him, along with Ray Crockett. Also downfield, Dan Owens, number 70, in on the play. Anderson, 6 carries, 23 yards. Remember, he needs 90 to go over the 1,000-yard mark for the 3rd straight year.
You know, when I talked to him yesterday, Mike, he said he always runs and reads. As he's running, he's reading and looking for the opportunity to break a big play. He doesn't hit it real quick. He feels his way in and boom, tries to get through the hole.
Bears dead last in the 1-yard line. Anderson behind Must, a nice hole up the middle. And inside the 25 to the 24-yard line. Kicking game has been interesting already. We've had a block, a coffin corner kick, and a 17-yarder.
And we are just about 10 minutes gone in the first quarter. What's next? Got the number 1 and number 2 rushers in the NFC in this ball game. Both of them are just, you know, you talk about guys that are super. These two are super backs.
They are. 2nd and 4. 21 could have the first down. Joe mentioned earlier that this offensive line. Anderson again is a flanker. And Harbaugh looking his way. Throws to it, and he's got it at the 47-yard line. Gain of 14. Harbaugh locked on him the entire time.
Mike Ditka said last night when we sat and visited with him, he felt that in this football game and in the subsequent games, he's got to get the ball in Neal Anderson's hands at least 20 to 30 times. And they're doing
on the delay. Out to the 39. Clock running, 12 seconds left. Benny Blades make the tackle, and now they'll stop the clock.
With Barry Sanders sitting back. See how they spread out the defense? With Ron Morris back fairly healthy, they have the 4 receivers to be able to do it.
Ball game. Tribute to the fans up here are hungry for a winner. Tomczak, nice play to Anderson. And he just lowers his head and got the first down and ran right over Ray Crockett.
Mike Tomczak figures he's not going to be able to run very far, so let's play option. Okay, doesn't look like there's anything there. Let me give the ball to the guy who can make it happen. Neal Anderson with a little stutter step picks up the first down.
Spielman still hustling with the game. Good. Anderson, nice spin move, picks him up another 3 or 4 yards. Jamison makes another tackle as he's down to the 38. Anderson has just hit the 100-yard mark tonight. It's his 4th 100-yard game of the season, and he is over 1,000.
Mike Ditka told us last night, Mike, he said, I want to stop the run. That's what they wanted to do. They wanted to shut down the run. They played with their 4 down linemen, 3 linebackers. They forced Rodney Peete to put the ball in the air. He proved.
Booing by this crowd last week in a loss to Kansas City. 1st and 10, backs are split. They hand it off to Neal Anderson on the sweep right, and he's down to the 30. Check the offense for Chicago. Tomczak over the interception. Sweep to the left side. Bayer. It's a halfback pass. And it's up for grabs and caught at the 10. Ron Morris.
That's the old run pass you're going to see. We'll start off to the left here. It's going to be a left-handed run pass. See, it starts like it's going to be a run, like it's going to be a sweep. He gets hit just as he's throwing the ball. The ball stays up there and wobbles until finally Morris gets it. Watch Neal Anderson here. He's throwing left-handed with his gloves. He almost doesn't get it off. Watch, just the ball goes out of there just as he gets hit, causing one of the ugliest passes ever in the NFL.
Bears, the number 2 running offense in the league, dead last in passing this year. See what's in the offing on 3rd and goal. Hand off. Anderson trying to get to the outside. Did not get there. What a pop he took at the 1. It was Swilling and Vince Buck, number 26, who made the shoulder hi-hat.
And that was a big play. Now what do? You know, does Mike Ditka kick the field goal? In fact, he already answered that. This play is really a 4-point play. This tackle right here, we're going to see Swilling here. Then watch Buck come in and make the hit. Boom, right there, that keeps Anderson out of the end zone. Now, if he scores there, that's going to be 7. Because he didn't score here, because they stop him here, they're going to go for the field goal. So this can be a 4-point tackle.
Now, Tomczak will not. Draw play. Anderson to the 29-yard line before the tackle is made by Robert Massey. Gain of 12. It'll be 3rd and 4. Let's see what the Bears have in mind now. 3rd down and 6. Tomczak wide open. Neal Anderson. Ankle tackled at the 23. Boy, that was a dandy pass.
That was what Mike Tomczak needed. That was what the Chicago Bears needed. And you can just see the guy, he just walks different after a play like that. Watch Anderson. He's going to come right down here, right down the seam. Tomczak is back in shotgun. Boom, he's going to hit him right there in the seam in the middle of the zone. Watch Anderson right there. See, he's going right down the seam. Now he breaks open. Now he's in between this part of the zone and this part of the zone, and he'll catch the ball right here. Right in between. That is a perfect pass.
Mike Tom's temperature, which is now at 24 degrees, and begin to plummet. Anderson wiggles his way down to the 16. Sam Mills makes the tackle.
You know what I like about Neal Anderson? And he can go inside or outside with the equal ability. I mean, you know, some runners, they love to run outside and they're not good runners inside. You can take Neal Anderson and run him any place you want to, and he is equally great. Just watch him. Here's a trap block. You can see the left guard pulls and he kicks out, gets right in behind that trap, gets in and out of the hole and in your area.
I tell you, 57, Tom Thayer did a pretty good job with his hands there.
Oh, yeah.
Up the middle it goes. Neal Anderson. That's a gain of 6.
What was nah, what, he got to keep his foot warm? For what?
3rd and 12. Tomczak to Neal Anderson. And that play was... Draw play. Big run up the middle of the 49. Sam Mills. 56 seconds to go, first half. The difference in the ball game, a touchdown. 10-3. Anderson. 4th down at the 45.
Got my 9-iron today. Nothing's wrong with your 9-iron. It's you.
Anderson to the 43. Well, Steve Sidwell, the defensive coordinator of the Saints, said, got to start containing him. No secret there. That was the game plan all along.
Yeah, I think so. I think the thing is that the Bears were doing a little more with Anderson. They didn't expect that run pass early. Like it was the only one he's ever completed in his life. But, and, you know, and they do move him around. They do put him at wide receiver, and they do move him around. But when he's the most dangerous to the Saint defense is when he's lined up like he is right now in the backfield.
2nd down and 3 for 2. 10-3. Chicago leads it. That's James Coley, the tight end in motion. Anderson, pretty good open field tackle from Sam Mills. Straight drop back pass, and Tomczak will run. Looks for blocking help and gets a little bit of it from Neal Anderson.
That's where Neal Anderson is such a great player. It's just the little things like that. Neal Anderson was split out as an end that time, and Tomczak was running right at him. And just because he got a block, watch Anderson out here. Now he's going to come up. As Tomczak comes back and starts to run, right here he gets a little block, and that's just enough to almost get Tomczak to 1st down. But see, right out there, now he knows Tomczak's running. You see the little block right there, and that freed Tomczak up enough to get the 1st down.
They will stretch, and there it is.
Yep. And that was Neal Anderson's block, that little stretch there.
John, when you put together a list of the most complete backs in the league, where do you put Anderson?
I put him at the top of the list. I think when you talk about blocking and catching and running, now that throw of his that he threw left hand, that was an ugly old throw, so I won't include that. But I think when you put all the things that a running back has to do, I put Neal Anderson at the top of the list.
Anderson came in after the Chicago Bears won the Super Bowl in January of '86 following the '85 season. So he's yet to experience that thrill. I'm reporting at halftime that the sides are beginning to get a little hard. Tom Zach. Anderson. Among the other things, and of course this late in the season, no surprise, but Anderson playing with a multitude of injuries, most serious of which a tough rib.
Well, yeah, he had those ribs, and I'll tell you one thing, he's a tough guy. I mean, he played with all those injuries, and talking to Johnny Rowland yesterday, the backfield coach of the Bears, and he said, with all the things that Neal Anderson does and does so well, you tend to forget that he's really a tough guy.
Second down and 2. Bears Kevin Butler stays on the bench. Tom Zach back in the cockpit. First down. Anderson to the 20. Go. Third quarter. Anderson to the 7.
Neal Anderson.
Have to go to the field goal. Out of the shotgun. Tom Zach has missed his last 8. That one is complete. And Anderson heads for the goal line. He's knocked out of bounds at the 5. They might give him the 3. After the Trace Armstrong block, the handoff goes up the middle for the Bears. They continue to test that area with Neal Anderson. That's a gain of 3. Well, they said his offensive teammates said they'd like to see Neal Anderson get the ball 30 times today. They're closing in on that mark.
Well, that's the type of thing that Neal Anderson said that he would take a win. That's the most important thing because he's a team player. But when he's the most dominant offensive player that you have, I think that's pretty good strategy.
19 carries now for Anderson. 88 yards, and the clock continues to roll. 2:49. Trying to keep warm on the sidelines. First down and 10 from the 40 to 50-yard line. Final 35 seconds of the quarter. Trying to go over 100 yards for the day. He's done it. Brett Maxey gets a helping hand from Mark Carrier.
It looked like Neal Anderson, he slipped on something just before he went out of bounds. It happened before he went out of bounds, and I don't think he was hit. It looked like something either pulled or his foot just slid. But he went down before he goes out. You see right there, he starts pulling up. Before he's even hit, it looks like something pulled on him.
Would that have been a hamstring?
It could have been a hamstring. I mean, it has the looks of a hamstring.
Brad Muster gets the carry on first down from the 39, and Mark Green has taken Neal Anderson's spot. Well, we'll get an update on the Neal Anderson injury as he is out at least momentarily. That's the end of the third momentarily. That's the end of the third quarter with our score. Chicago 13, New Orleans 3. Our coverage continues after this message from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS.
Here's Neal Anderson, and we'll see what happens here. He goes out of bounds. Now, right there, he slipped. Now, it looked like his right foot slipped, but it looked like the left hamstring just pulled, and the left leg just kind of cramped up on him. But whatever it was, it's okay because he's back in there, but that was a strange-looking thing.
Quick healer. Well, we said he played with a Jim Wilkes. Makes the tackle. Now, the report from the bench is not a thing wrong with Neal Anderson's legs. He stubbed his elbow.
Well, it's probably so cold out there he can't feel it anyway. And when you're going in a game like this and you're going for a wild card game and you know that if you win, you get to go to New York and play the Giants next week, you don't worry about things like sliding and slipping and stuff.
Tom Zach and the Bears at the 20. They lead it 13-3 with 12:49 to go. Anderson with a block from Muster. And the tackle made by Ricky Jackson, a gain of 4. But again, they're working on the
Pitch to Anderson with Rouse blocking in front of him. And Neal Anderson will have enough for another Chicago first down as he is down at the 37-yard line. A pickup that time of 8 yards. Carlton Bailey again in on the stop for the Bills.
Bears taking advantage of the mobility of their guards. Thayer and Bortz fine pulling guards. Good block by Thornton, and Neal Anderson running well on that play. The formula for so many teams this year that they've tried to exercise on these Bills is drive the football, control the football.
And it's a running play to Neal Anderson. Van Horn blocking in front, and Anderson with a fine run. The best of the game for either side. Gets to the 17-yard line. A pickup of 14 with Nate Odoms making the tackle, and a good block up front.
You spread the field with those 4 wide receivers, and still you've got that great running back in the backfield, Neal Anderson. Watch how quickly he accelerates into the hole behind a fine block there by the off guard there, and does a good job, but he comes up short. He's going to be about a yard short.
And it's Neal Anderson trying for the 1 yard, and he dives forward and will have it. So ball control by the Chicago Bears. Nate Odoms making the tackle, and now they're going back to Bear football as we've known it.
Well, you had to know that Mike would test you with that running game here today, and especially against this defense. Neal Anderson going to the outside and to his left. Favors running to the left, and no one runs better to the sideline than Neal Anderson. Simply outrunning the defenders, picking up that first down.
2nd down and 7. This time Lewis goes in motion. Harbaugh with a jump pass to Anderson to the 5. Penalty down. Anderson gets in for the score, but there's a penalty marker down.
We may have a pick.
6-0 margin it is. 1st and 10 for the Bears on the Bills 40. With a penalty marker down, completes to Anderson, and Anderson got by Leonard Smith and moves inside the 30-yard line. And again, possession now cut to 6. 11:03 remaining in the 4th quarter. 1st and 10 on the 35 for the Bears. Neal Anderson has Thayer blocking in front of him, and Anderson with a first down, and a fine run by Neal, stopped by Leonard Smith, and a gain of 21 yards.
Huge run by Neal Anderson as he drives downfield. Nobody home for the Bills defense. They had come back strong in this second half, but that's the kind of
1st and goal on the 2. And the pitch to Anderson. And Anderson dives in for the score. Shane Conlon had a shot at him, and Anderson all of a sudden put on the Jets and got in for the touchdown, and the 3rd touchdown rushing of the year, and the Bears score, and it is now 21-12 with plenty of time remaining. 8:45, and time for a
Shane Conlon is going to take 1 step inside. Well, that's 1 too many. He's not going to be able to make it to the outside. Kirby Jackson misses. Shane Conlon misses. Well, Neal Anderson didn't.
Bentley has replaced Carlton Bailey at inside linebacker for Buffalo. Harbaugh getting some rush, and the pass is caught out of the backfield. Neal Anderson. And he beat the defense downfield and in particular time into Buffalo territory.
Neal Anderson, such a fine pass receiver. You can treat him like a wide receiver at times. Harbaugh, a nice pass here, but watch the shot that Anderson takes. Bang, right there. Leonard Smith, he'll hit you in that secondary.
In that Bears factory, it's Anderson, and he pops it. Gets to the 35, keeps his feet, and gets to the 40 and across it. And a good start for the Bears. Leroy Butler, the cornerback, made the stop. Let's check the lineup.
Well, you're going to see a lot have to support.
2nd down, 8 yards to go. Anthony Morgan in the game and in motion. There's Anderson, cuts inside across midfield. And he has the first down. Leroy Butler again on the stop, but way down the first time. Muster and Anderson are the running back. Brad Muster in motion. Harbaugh to throw on 1st down into the flat for Anderson, and he takes it to about the 23-yard line before Johnny Holland, the linebacker, runs him Out of bounds. It'll be 2nd and 6 or 7 yards. We have 10 minutes left in the first quarter.
You're talking a lot of Packers this week about Neal Anderson, and really to a man. They said, hey, a lot of running backs in the league, if you give them a couple of shots early in the game, they kind of limp to the sideline and you don't see him again. That's not the case with Neal Anderson. He said, we have hit him as hard as any player we've ever played against, and he gets stronger and stronger, and he has killed us in the fourth quarter.
James Thornton in motion. Pitch play to Anderson. He's got a hole. Good open field tackle by Cecil as he reached the 42, very close to a first down. And Anderson, who does not have a 100-yard game this year, is 3 carries, 30 yards in this first quarter.
Yeah, watch the way Neal Anderson sets up blockers. And he has 3 different speeds. I mean, he can wait till something happens, but when he sees it happen, he takes off right now. I mean, he's a very, very patient runner. His offensive linemen love blocking for him because he can give you those 3 different types of speeds and different types of runs.
Third down conversion. Harbaugh throws complete. Neal Anderson first down and more, out of bounds at the 40-yard line in Green Bay territory. Jerry Holmes ran him out. Boy, that was awfully easy. Possession play for the Bears. Harbaugh. What a hit. Let's see if he had enough for the first down. Mark Murphy made the stop.
Oof. But look who bounces right back up on Neal Anderson.
He is a tough cookie.
Yeah.
That's the other thing about him. He's a gamer.
Yeah, you're right. And you talk to every one of the Packer defenders or any team that plays against Neal Anderson, and the first thing they say about him is that this guy is tough. Remember, guys were saying, hey, a lot of running backs, you hit hard, they limp to the sidelines and never come back. But Neal Anderson will be there in the fourth quarter.
He took that punishment and got enough for the first down, so the Bears keep their drive going, and Anderson. Thornton in motion. Anderson again, and good yardage and out of bounds as he crosses the 26-yard line. Jerry Holmes ran him out, but a 12-yard advance and a first down, and the Bears are out of jail. They're now have at least decent field position.
Remember, Skip, we talked about at the first quarter how Neal Anderson has 3 different speeds. Well, you've kind of seen 2 of them on the last 2 plays. I mean, that one in particular, he kind of glides for a moment on that particular play. He sees something happen on the outside, and he shifts it into second gear. The play before, it was just a...
Neal Anderson. Thornton in motion. Anderson with a football tries to get outside and dives inside the 10. Down to the 8-yard line. Mark Murphy was there to make the stop, but not before. A sizable advance by the Bears as the quarter is about to come to a close, and Chicago appears to be in pretty good shape.
You know, at the end of the game, there's going to be a lot of fingerprints on Neal Anderson's jersey, but not a lot of guys can tackle him by themselves. You got to have 2 bodies on Anderson to bring him down.
At their own 48-yard line. Morris in motion. Anderson, yep. A big gainer. Down to the 24-yard line. Johnny Holland made the stop. Loose football, down by contact, Bears ball. 28-yard rumble for Anderson.
Anytime a running back runs up the middle with that kind of a hole, it means your center and your offensive guards have to be doing a good job. Watch what these guys are doing up front, because there became a little crease right there and Van Horn blocked their guy. There's a big crease right there. One of the few times they had taken care of Brian Noble, and you give him a chance to use one of those little kind of speeds, the 3 different speeds that Neal Anderson has, and he's going to run through a lot of arm tackles. You can't arm tackle Neal Anderson.
Stan Thomas goes limping out of the game. 16 carries, 82 yards for Anderson.
Jennings, big, physical tight end. James Thornton is on injured reserve. Jennings has come out, and Kelly Blackwell, a rookie free agent, has come in the game as tight end. First down. Harbaugh dumps it off to Anderson. It's going to be a foot race to the goal line. He's in for the touchdown, and the Bears lead. Anderson is shaken up. He was racing for the corner of the end zone with Michael Kofer chasing him. He got there, but he may have paid for it.
Nice job by Jim Harbaugh. Looks right, looks left, nothing open. Where is he? There he is. Flips it out to Anderson. Anderson, pure speed, foot race, goes, lands right on the football. Is Jim Harbaugh happy?
The nickel back come in for the Lions. 2nd down and 7 for the Bears. Here's Neal Anderson, has some room. Anderson to the 5. Anderson, touchdown. For Neal Anderson, his 2nd touchdown of the game. The first was as a receiver, and now the Bears have regained the lead, and being a show from those great running backs today.
Very similar looking plays. Obviously, you said the first one was a pass. This is a run, but they collapse the entire right side of the Detroit defense. Then it's just speed. He might have had a sore hamstring last year, but it isn't this year. Play guy.
4 wide receivers on 2nd and 2, and pressure. Kofer is all over Harbaugh, but the pass is caught by Neal Anderson out of bounds in Lion territory, and a 1st down for Chicago with 47 seconds.
Shoulder pads. Looks like Lawrence plans on returning.
Canavis McGee takes his spot. Meanwhile, here's Anderson to the outside and picking up about 9. Perry Williams makes the hit. 2nd and 1 to make the stop. Anderson helping to lead the way along with Wojciechowski.
That's difficult for a guy like Neal Anderson to tie up with a defensive back as long as he did and not get called for holding. A lot of backs would have drawn the flag. He was blocking Perry Williams out on the point of attack, and sure, Neal Anderson's walking back to the huddle and saying, you know, this is all fun being a team guy and things like that. Take a look there at the top of the screen. See Anderson working on Williams. Very effective, taking him to the outside, and Williams really just is in a cleanup position after Jackson makes the good open field tackle. I think Neal Anderson is more comfortable with the ball in his arm rather than the ball 3 yards behind him.
2nd and 5 at the 42-yard.
Chicago, we've seen everything but that.
7 minutes to go in the 1st quarter with no score. Here's Anderson sweeping left. Inside the 20. Bumped out of bounds at the 10 by Everson Walls. Ron Morris through the block that time that sprung him.
Around the corner, breaking contain. There's Wojo 73 breaking upfield. Ron Morris with the block at the line of scrimmage. But that is a corner, that's an unchallenged corner by the New York Giants. In this game, you should not be able to turn the corner.
It's Dennis Gentry in motion. Harbaugh throws. Anderson makes the catch and gets in for the touchdown.
You know what was nice about that move, Frank, was how quickly Neal Anderson was able to gain control of the football and turn upfield and get into the end zone. He caught that so close to making his move upfield. That's where you see a guy drop the ball a lot of times.
He can do a lot of things for you. Watch number 35 out of the backfield. Good receiver. He can even play outside as a flanker if they want him to. Here's what Dan's talking about. And not only that, covering up the football, taking no chance of being stripped.
Very legitimate. 3rd and 7 at the 13-yard line for Chicago as we start the 2nd quarter. Harbaugh throws. Catch made at the 20. Neal Anderson up to the 27-yard line in the 1st down. Tackled by Perry Williams.
They're not actually making contact with an offensive player.
No, not illegal.
No, not at all.
Here's Muster behind an Anderson block. I mean, Neal Anderson is doing everything tonight. Muster gets up to the 35, stopped by Everson Walls. Gain of 8. ABC's Monday Night Football.
Neal Anderson, as he's been doing a lot this game, very active, takes on Carl Banks, and while it wasn't a pancake or anything like that, you'd have to rate it as an effective block. Kept Banks out of the play. Muster was able to turn upfield. Neal Anderson doing everything tonight for the Bears.
2nd and 2 at the 35-yard line. Here he is again, swinging to the left. He loves running left. And Neal Anderson, whose ability is being somewhat questioned by a few people in this city, is answering some of his critics tonight. Johnson and Jackson in on the hit.
And we've got another giant down on the field game. We're just in the early part of the second quarter. There's Keith Jennings taking on Lawrence Taylor at the point of attack, which you can't tell from behind is that Lawrence Taylor actually drove Jennings about 3 yards into the Bear backfield. But again, the support was late in arriving, and Neal Anderson was able to get around the corner.
Who spent 9 years with the New England Patriots. They picked him up on plan B for some relief help here. He gets hurt on this run by Anderson, and we have 13:42 left in the first half.
Anderson on the draw with room. Close to a first. Gain of maybe 6. McKyer on the stop.
This is the way a Mike Ditka team likes to start. You want to establish control of the line of scrimmage. The way to establish control in the line of scrimmage is being able to block at the line and run right at it. You see they got that counter tray. They all block down. They pull the off guard and the off tackle, and they run Neal Anderson in that 6 hole. And I still think Neal Anderson is one of the best backs in this league.
Without a doubt. This is Anderson on the cutback. And the counter play, and he's gone. Bears are going to take the lead. Anderson from 49 yards. Buster got 17, and Anderson got the rest.
Buster showed him how to do it. Start one way and cut back the other. Again, the Atlanta defense isn't one that Reed and Keys, they flow. They're going to go right now. They don't beat on a blocker. They want to get a tackler, so you can really take advantage of that by cutting back. That's right. And forward, backwards, you know, to the second degree and all that stuff.
Third down. Harbaugh on the shotgun screen pass. Anderson, blockers in front. Neal Anderson pulls away from everybody. Tripped after he got a first down inside the 25. The screen got 18. Brian Mitchell tripped him up.
Yeah, I know that, you know, for a while there, Neal Anderson was in Mike Ditka's doghouse, but I've always said, when you talk about everything, blocking, catching, running, Neal Anderson is one of the best running backs in this league. Because he can do that. This guy is a tough guy. He has good moves. He has good speed. And he showed about 4 of those things on that play.
Harbaugh back one more time, this time to Anderson. Very close to first down, 8 yards.
And I think Mike Ditka's already...
Anderson behind Harbaugh. Waddle was the man in motion, and the handoff is to Anderson. Touchdown. Anderson's second of the day. From 14 yards out. This time 49 yards the first time. Butler in to try the extra point. Neal Anderson. Last year was a troubled year for him.
In this play, Pat, better than I've seen him do it in a long time. And it's that counter tray where you pull the offside this way and you take the counter and get in behind him and run to this side. And that hasn't been a Bear play. It hasn't been a big Bear play. The counter. You see the counter by Neal Anderson, then the tray. Look at the blocking in the hole, the missed tackling there, and good running. Combination of good play call, good blocking.
Motion as Harbaugh this time operates from the shotgun. The Falcons blitz. Harbaugh finds Anderson wide open. Anderson hit by Solomon and hit hard from behind by Solomon, but a Bear first down.
Hey, Harbaugh's not going to look to run all the time. Here he's in the shotgun. They have a stunt. They're coming there. He had a pump, and then he saw that guy coming right in his face, and he still stepped into it and threw it to Anderson.
On first down behind Harbaugh. From Harbaugh. For Anderson. Harry Ray was the defender, but a gain of 26. Harbaugh to Anderson.
That's what I like about Soldier Field, man. You get up and you still got grass growing in your head. You can't beat that. Look at his shoulder pads. This is the way football should be. Anderson's all over the place here. You know, he lines up in the backfield. He goes in motion. Here he lines up as a wide receiver on the right side. Just runs it up and makes a catch. That was a good pump. You see Harbaugh pumped to the left, threw it right into Anderson. Then boom, he came down right on his head. That will cause grass to grow in your helmet. Back to what they did in the first half. Good mixture, throwing, running to Anderson, throwing to Anderson, faking to Anderson, throwing to Muster, all those things. And, you know, that's why I always say that Neal Anderson, when you talk about the best running backs in this league, he doesn't always get mentioned because of the, you know, the Emmitt Smiths and the Thurman Thomases and Barry Sanders. But I'll tell you, when you talk about catching passes and blocking, this guy's the best. The best. There's no better than this guy right here.
And running. He scored twice.
Muster, but watch the guy. Watch Neal Anderson, the first guy. Watch the block that he makes. He's going to come in, boom, right there. I'll tell you, he just hit a guy right in the ear hole, and the first thing to hit the ground with his head. And then Muster just outran everything else.
Sanders.
Yeah, I tell you, it's an example of good running, but two good blocks. The first one by Neal Anderson, and the second one by Wendell Davis. But you see Anderson come and make the block, boom, right there. He takes his guy. That gives him the corner. Muster makes good running here. Then downfield, he's going to get a block right here by Wendell Davis. Right there. Just stay with your guy. Just stay with him. And that was enough to get Deion Sanders off.
Bears as they prepare to kick off. What do you think legitimately their chances are without perhaps number 35?
Well, I think they need Neal Anderson, and the fact that he's dressed there, he's not going to start, but he looks like a guy who at least he thinks he's going to play, or he wouldn't put all those pads on. I think the Bears have to get a little running.
For Minnesota, Neal Anderson in for the Bears, starting. You had it right. You dress him, he's going to play. Nothing. Wayne Martin made the stop.
You know, Neal Anderson is a great running back, and one of the reasons that makes him a great running back is he's a great competitor. And a great competitor, even though he knows it's wrong, just has a hard time staying out of a football game. If there's a game going on, a competitor feels he ought to be in there. Sometimes he shouldn't, but he doesn't know that.
It's hard to tape the heart. Second down. Saints show blitz. Here's Anderson. Anderson. First down. Bears right now for an NFL update. Let's send you back. 49ers appear to be back on track.
There's that counter. Remember the Redskins made it so famous, that counter tray. Well, this is the Bears version of it. They're going to run that play all day, and if you have Neal Anderson in there, he's going to make some holes. Snap off. Go to their silent count that they've been working on and get the ball snapped, and then it'll all be over.
Here we go. Anderson. Outside the 35 to the 36. Not enough for a first down. A gain of 13, stopped by Mills and Maxey. But the Bears will have to punt.
I'll tell you, watch number 73, though, John Wojciechowski, number 73, right up front. He makes a heck of a block. Watch it, boom, right there. Mike Ditka's theory is really working out, and he said you just stay with the running game, and you have patience. And it looks like he is staying with the running game. He does have patience. But while you're doing that, you may need a little Neal Anderson, but you do need some.
First and 10 Bears. Harbaugh to throw, chased out of the pocket, nevertheless complete to Anderson. Anderson gets the Bear first down in Saint territory, a gain of 11. Coy Cook chased him out of bounds. You can see, although emotionally and heart-wise and whatever you want to say about Anderson, you can see he wants to play. He is playing, but he's still, because of the injured hamstring, can't quite pull the trigger like he used to.
No, and he's getting out of bounds. But, you know, the fun thing about Neal Anderson is just see the smile on his face when he's walking back to the huddle. That there's not a lot of guys play this game. A lot of guys say they love it, but this guy really does love it. He enjoys playing. He's having fun playing.
Harbaugh's pass to Davis, out of bounds. Cook, the defender.
You know, and Neal Anderson is, and Pat Swilling was talking about it. He said there's a lot of guys that are good runners. And he said there's backs that are good receivers. And there's not many of them that like to block. He said, but Neal Anderson is the most complete running back in the whole game. In fact, on that last play, I think he just blocked Pat Swilling.
He did.
But he will do it all. I mean, he will run it, and he'll go out and catch it, and he'll block, and he'll do it as well as anyone does any one of those three things.
They all say he just likes to come to work. That's rare. That's rare. He's the lone setback. Picked up 4, stopped by Wilkes. It'll bring up third down. That's Anderson. He nudges his way for 2 or 3. Ronaldo Turnbull made the stop.
I'd like to score it right at the end of the game where you don't give the other team any time to score.
The handoff is to Mustard. Anderson, I'm sorry. He gets down inside the 20. A gain of 8. Stopped again by Glenn.
You just knew that when Anderson dressed today, you knew he was going to play. Even though he didn't start, and you knew if he was going to play at all, it's going to be at this time of the game.
The Bears in a hurry again. Harbaugh to throw it. As his pass complete to Anderson, he gets out of bounds and stops the clock at the 13. Gene Atkins took him out of bounds after a gain of 5.
Second down and 11. From the 19-yard line, here's Anderson again. Anderson past the 30 to the 34, and a first down, a 15-yard gain. The safeties, Browner and Wright, make the stop. And let's take a look at the Minnesota defense. That's Thornton, the move man. Anderson again, past the 40, and taken down from behind at the 44 by Al Noga, who catches him from the rear.
Oh, what great hustle by Noga coming from the backside. Starting in place of John Randall, as Al mentioned, and this is nothing but hustle. They leave him unblocked. Watch the right side. Watch Noga cross the screen, just trailing it from the backside. He's a defensive lineman by trade, but that's showing remarkable speed and an ability to...
The rookie from Tennessee in motion. Here's Neal Anderson cutting it back to the inside, taking it up to the 44-yard line. It'll be third and long. Merriweather and Thomas make the...
We talked earlier about the problems of Neal Anderson, who is really not having the Neal Anderson type of year. He's been fighting a hamstring all year long, and Brad Muster also has been having the same problem, and they are really not 100%. Muster may be closer to 100% than Anderson, but Anderson earlier, you saw him break those holes. He did not have the acceleration that you would expect from him ordinarily without that ailing leg.
He has not had a 100-yard game this season.
Here's Harbaugh trying to auto right there.
Terrific catch. First and 10 at the 23-yard line. Anderson plows down to the 17-yard line. Berry and Rutland make the stop. So the Vikings went 80 yards on their first drive, and the Bears begin this drive at their own 20-yard line, and they've taken it to the Minnesota 17.
And it could well be that there will only be one possession per team in this first quarter, as we are down to 1 minute remaining in the first quarter. But here's not the lack of acceleration. This is a great back. No question about it, Neal Anderson, but he is not the great back that he is when he's healthy. He just does not have that total zip when he tries to pop the hole.
At the 17-yard line. Neal Anderson again fights for the first down, takes it to the 13-yard line, and I believe he's got it. Merriweather and Struthers in on the hit. Richard Dent will look at him on the Bears sideline.
To look at Richard Dent walk up.
Anderson tucking the football away in that traffic. Merriweather actually has him by the right arm and wrist. Look at that. Ooh, that'll test your shoulder strength. Merriweather brought him down.
Second and goal at the 6-yard line. Waddle in motion. Inside give to Anderson. Looking for the corner of the end zone. Touchdown. And how many times in his career, it's like a highlight film, over and over and over. Anderson loves to go to the left corner of the end zone, right to the pylon and in.
Tell the Giants that now. 42-yard dive into that left corner. But what a block by Tom Thayer. Either a fine block or a fine tackle, one or the other. Number 57. Keep your eye on him now. It's an awkward position for him. Well, Thayer got away with one.
That was Ray Berry, the middle linebacker, that tried to sneak underneath Thayer, and he put out the right arm and snagged him. I think the boot was going backwards.
First down, a little toss to Anderson. And he gets taken down from behind. Jimmy Williams is there for
and run. And that's exactly what you have in Chris Stolman. Faces down Anderson.